What is up, my fellow Chibits? Hopefully all of you are having a very good day today. So to do a quick clarification, I just finished watching the first episode of King's Game a second time, because I watched it yesterday. I didn't really have much time to really do a first impressions, and since I wanted to have like a refresh on everything that happened, I just rewatched it today. So if you want to know the exact release date for this series, it came out yesterday. So it's not a Friday release, it's a Thursday release. So anyways, with that being said though, the first episode of King's Game is out. And just to have a quick clarification as well, once again, this apparently is adapting part 2 of this series. So what this means is that, which you can get from watching the first episode, is that the main character, he's already went through all of these events once before. He has had to do the King's Game, and that was apparently part 1 of the series, which is not getting animated, and we went straight into part 2. So I personally haven't actually read the original source, so I don't really know. I don't know if this is accurate information or not, but from what I'm hearing is that the company that's animating this right now, basically, they're animating, like, Season 2, or animating Part 2. It's like skipping the entirety of Tokyo Ghoul Part 1, and then going straight to Tokyo Ghoul Re. Now, obviously, I guess this is a little bit different, because I guess the content is not as complex as Tokyo Ghoul, but you get my point. It's like skipping a big chunk of the series and then going to the second part and animating it, and then here you go, watch it. Now, do I think that you shouldn't watch this if you haven't seen probably Part 1? I think you could probably watch this and be completely fine, because after watching the first episode and not really knowing anything about the previous information of the series, I feel like you can kind of pick up on everything that is going on here in this first episode. So, what is it about? What is King's Game about, or Osama Game about? Well, it is about a survival game. And I know survival game series are not something that many necessarily care about, because there has been a lot of them over the years. And I personally had a big craze at a certain time a while back when I really was getting into survival game series. I just loved them, and even though they were really bad and poor in writing, I used to read as much as I possibly could in my spare time, and I don't know, I've read so many of them. Somehow I never actually read this one though. I don't know why I didn't. But anyways though, I know survival game series are a big thing, or they were a big thing, and over the years of anime coming out, we have seen many series quite like this. Now, does that make this a bad series? No. Does it make it somewhat predictable? Yes. Now, depending on the execution, it can be very good. So what is the context of it? So, it's about the King's Game, which that's the title. Now, I think all of us by now, if you've watched a lot of anime, you have probably seen some form of comedy series or slice of life series bring up the King's Game. I've seen this in ecchi series, like fan service ecchi series. I've seen the King's Game brought up, where, the main male character has to, do whatever the girl says. Basically, that's the concept of this series. Someone is in the shadows, some mythological force is in the shadows and manipulating the character, sending them text messages, and if they don't listen to the text messages in 24 hours, or they don't follow it and do what it says, then they will die. Now, the death isn't pleasant. It can be a variety of different things. Drowning, hanging, bleeding to death. It's really bad. It can vary depending on what really happens. And so because of this, it's a mythological force, or, like a godlike being or whatever, that's actually doing something to all of these students. So this is a supernatural series. It isn't a series to where there's a character amongst the students that is like the killer. It is someone that's sneaking around, committing, heinous acts. That's not what this series is. There's clearly someone that is really powerful, has, powers to where they can kill people from a distance, and that's how this is working. So whoever is there, basically, most likely, it's none of them. It's someone that cannot be seen or detected at all, because this person was also messing with the main male character in an entirely different area in the country, and obviously, he doesn't see anyone that he recognizes since he was the only one to survive, so it's obvious that whoever is doing this is someone that is not a part of the students whatsoever. Anyways, though, the first episode is edgy. I'm just gonna say, it's edgy. Like, it is on a whole new level of edge. Like, if you If you want something edgy, you got it right here. The first episode of, King's Game is really, really edgy. Like, I mean, you can get a paper cut from looking at this series. Like, that's just how edgy it is. I mean, the first half was kind of tame. Well, you know what, I take that back. The beginning of the episode was really edgy, but then it kind of settled down a bit, and then the second half was really edgy. I was like, oh man, this is a really edgy series. I don't know if it's as edgy as the final segment of another, but it's up there. It definitely is up there. So, if you don't like edgy stuff, you're probably not going to like this. I'm just going to say, because this is like a horror, anime. That's what it's going to be about. It's going to have dark themes, gore, violent stuff like that. So if you don't like these type of things, then you should probably not watch this series. Now, if you do like that stuff, then by all means, continue watching it. Now, in terms of the writing, this is what really matters when it comes to a survival game series to me. Because even if it's cliche, or the introduction of it, like the entire picture frame of it, is cliche, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad, because it comes down to the characters, how good they are, but also the writing of it and where it goes. And so that's what really matters, like the story of it and the writing when it comes to survival game series, because the concept is very cliche, but it depends on where the writer wants to take it. And from watching the first episode, I'm just going to be completely frank with you, the writing is pretty meh. It's really meh. Now, it's not drop status. It's not status to where, like, I want to drop it and say, I'm done with it or whatever. I want to see where it's going to go, but it's definitely not that good when it comes to the writing, and let me explain why. The beginning to, like, the middle part of the episode, the main male character, obviously, he's going through a lot of emotions. He had his entire class die on him, he's the only survivor, and obviously he's traumatized by it. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, I understand why he's acting distant, or why he's crying, or he doesn't want to make friends. It makes perfect sense. So I'm not angry at that part when it comes to the writing of the main male character's, character. Like, I'm not angry with that part. However, the main female character, I'm assuming the main female character, she automatically develops feelings for the dude. And the feelings she develops for him is just too quick. She like instantly falls in love with him. Now, I've heard of love at first sight. I know it's actually a thing. But when it comes to writing, I just don't like that concept. It's just my personal bias there. I do not like love at first sight. I know you can't, control who you love, and I brought that up many times, and I understand that. I can even agree with that. However, in terms of just story, the way to start off something like this, especially for a survival game, using love at first sight and having this girl fall in love with this dude that looks very average in every department and also is very emotional or traumatized, the only thing I can get from this, and the reason why she's fell in love with him, is because he's sad and depressed. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's messed up. Like, the only reason why she must like him, because the only emotions he's really shown, is that he's really depressed. Because it wasn't that she got interested in him after he started becoming a little bit happy or smiling. She got interested in him as soon as he was depressed. So what I'm getting from this girl is that she's into a person that is upset and sad. And I'm like, that's messed up. Like, that's really messed up. But getting further into the details, though, basically, she instantly falls in love with the main male character, and his task is to kiss her. That's what his order is from the king. And as I said, if you don't follow the order within 24 hours, you will die. Now, this will happen to both of the individuals. For instance, he would have died, and also she would have died. Obviously, he didn't say nothing to her. He was willing to be the victim just to be done with it, but also basically to be an example for everyone to know that if you don't follow the orders, you will die. So he was trying to, play the martyr in this case. He was being the martyr for everyone else to kind of survive. But the thing was, though, the way it turned out is that he got to kiss her because she kissed him. And like I said, I don't really agree with how forced that romance felt to get him past his first trial and error, his first order from the king. I felt like it just felt very non-organic. It just did not work in terms of the way it was done. I felt like something a little bit different could have been handled in that segment, and I just did not like that whatsoever. Now, if you like that, go for it. I mean, it's my personal bias here. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna be just straight up with you. It's my personal bias there. I just don't like that type of, like, romance stuff when it pops up, especially for a survival manga or anything like this that's trying to be serious. I don't know. It feels like really weak writing in this case, and especially when it comes to survival game manga, romance tend to kind of drag this genre down. I'm just going to be honest here. When it comes to romance, it can be good sometimes. It can be good. I have seen cases to where romance does, stuff like this really well. But sometimes, or most of the time, romance tends to drag this genre down. And I'm fearful that that's probably what's going to happen because of the main male character and the main female character. So, besides that, is it worth a watch? Yeah. Give it a shot. I mean, you might as well. I mean, we do have 2 survival game series this season. I mean, we have Junie, and then now we have this. And I mean, if you don't like to have multiple of the same thing, then I guess don't watch it. But I mean, if you're wanting more of an edgier series, give it a shot. You might like it, you might not. It doesn't really hurt you in any way because, I mean, it's only 20 minutes and you get to see if you like it or not. But overall, it's kind of a meh first episode. It's nothing amazing, it's nothing trash, but it's just flat average now, so it's nothing crazy. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you enjoyed this first episode, if you hated this first episode. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. Leave a like on this video if you like my video. And also, go into my description and support me on Patreon if you want me to continue to focus on YouTube, because it helps me out a lot. So I love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.